Our love story, from college sweethearts to a married couple, was the envy of everyone we knew, until I got pregnant. Suddenly, Ethan, the man I loved, became a stranger. He started yelling. He even said the cruelest, most irresponsible thing a man could say. Then he slammed the door and vanished, ignoring all my calls and messages. I told myself he was just scared. He wasn't ready to be a father, so he ran. He would come back, I thought, once he'd figured things out. I was living in a fantasy. It all came crashing down when my best friend, Chloe, called me in a panic. "Stella, he's cheating on you so openly, and you're just sitting there." That's when I understood. The reason he wanted me to get rid of our baby was to make room for his precious first love, his white moonlight. My baby and I had become obstacles in his pursuit of true love. "Ms. Jiang, have you considered our offer?" A voice with a French accent said over the phone. "The funding and equipment we have here are perfectly suited for your research." It was an invitation from a top-tier research institute in Paris. "Can you give me some time to think?" I asked. "Of course. Your visa and ticket will be ready whenever you are." They gave me a month. After hanging up, I stared at the painting on the wall, the wheat field, and lost myself in thought. In the painting, a boy held a girl's hand, his face alight with joy. They were running through a field of wheat, a symbol of a bountiful harvest, the beginning of a beautiful future. That painting was a testament to my love with Ethan. We met in high school, but it wasn't until college that I finally got the courage to follow him. Back then, he was in love with the campus beauty, Ava. When they broke up, I knew it was my only chance. I confessed my feelings, my heart pounding, so nervous I could barely breathe. He looked at me and said, "Stella, I'm sorry." My heart sank. I was about to be rejected, but then he continued, "I'm sorry because a man should be the one to say I love you first. It was ungentlemanly of me to make you take the lead. I love you, Stella." And just like that, we were together. When his love for me was at its peak, he commissioned the city's most famous artist to paint the wheat field for us. We got married. We started working at the same prestigious research institute. Life was peaceful, sweet, and fulfilling. Then, 2 weeks ago, I found out I was pregnant. I told him the news, my heart bursting with joy. I expected him to be just as happy. Instead, Ethan's face fell. The man who had always been so affectionate turned into a monster. "Get rid of it," he said, his voice cold. I froze, unable to believe those words came from the man who loved me. Hadn't he always dreamed of us having a child? Now that it was real, why was he acting like this? It was the first real fight of our 5-year marriage. I stood my ground. "Ethan, I am keeping this baby. He is the fruit of our love." He looked at me with disgust, then stormed out. As he slammed the door, he threw his final, cruel ultimatum at me. "Stella, it's me or the baby. You choose." Bam! The solid wood door shuddered in its frame. Listening to his footsteps fade down the stairs of our villa, I felt a chilling numbness creep over me. This wasn't the Ethan I knew. A terrifying distance had opened up between us. For 2 weeks, I barely saw him. He'd come home a few times, but only to grab some things, treating me like I was invisible. I couldn't find him at the institute either. I couldn't stand it anymore. I was a lead technician at the institute. I had connections. I asked our director where Ethan was. He requested a transfer to the remote branch campus. The director told me, "He's there on a technical support project." A remote campus. I'd never heard him mention it. Why would he leave? Was it just to avoid me? I had to talk to him. I called, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted, and the receipt showed he'd read it, but he never replied. I couldn't understand. We were supposed to be a loving couple. Why couldn't we talk things out? Was he really giving me the silent treatment just because I insisted on keeping our child? That's when Chloe called. "Stella, what are you thinking? He's cheating on you so openly. Everyone knows. How can you just sit there?" My mind went blank. I instinctively defended him. "Chloe, I trust Ethan. He would never do anything to hurt me." Chloe sighed, frustrated. "What if the other woman is Ava? Ava is now the deputy director of that remote branch. Your Ethan is with her every single day. The whole world knows except you." It felt like a lightning strike. Suddenly, it all made sense. The shock was too much. I collapsed, a piercing pain shooting through my abdomen. I clutched my stomach, a tear finally escaping. A testament to my weakness. "Baby," I whispered, "I'm so sorry. Mommy might not be able to give you a complete home." It took me a long time to pull myself together. We had dated for 5 years and been married for 5 more. After thinking it through, for the sake of love, for the sake of giving my baby a complete family, I decided to go talk to him in person. If he would leave Ava, if he was truly sorry, then maybe, just maybe, my baby and I could give him one more chance. I boarded the high-speed train to the remote city. Before I left, I called Ethan. "Hello, Ethan." To my surprise, he answered, and his tone was warm. "Stella, I've missed you and the baby so much. When can you come visit me?" A spark of joy ignited in my chest. My Ethan still has me in his heart. A thrill of victory over Ava shot through me. He hadn't chosen her. He had chosen me. She might be his first love, his white moonlight, but I was his wife. When I arrived, Ethan was there at the station to greet me, but the first words out of his mouth weren't a greeting. "Stella, I heard headquarters has a new research project, and you're in charge. Can you tell me about the core technology?" It was a top secret project. It was supposed to be confidential. Why was he so desperate to know? As we drove, he kept steering the conversation back to the project. At the hotel, he showered me with flowers, fine food, and sweet words. He apologized. "Stella, forgive me," he begged. "I was so stressed about a technical bottleneck at work, and I took it out on you and the baby. I was wrong. If you'll still have me, I promise I'll be a good husband and a good father." My heart soared. My baby's future seemed bright again. Finally, I gave in to his relentless charm and told him the secret. That night, he held me in the hotel's large, soft bed, whispering beautiful promises into my ear. After all the turmoil, it felt like my baby and I had finally found solid ground. In the middle of the night, I heard his phone buzz. He got up and went to the bathroom to take the call. A moment later, he emerged, fully dressed in his work attire. Watching him adjust his clothes, a sense of unease settled over me. "Ethan, what is it? Is it that urgent?" He rushed towards the door. "There's an emergency technical meeting with the director." "Sorry, Stella, you'll have to sleep alone tonight." I was a senior technician from headquarters. If there was a technical problem, shouldn't he be bringing me? "Ethan, do you want me to come with you?" He paused, his steps faltering. He didn't turn around. I saw him shake his head, his back still to me. "No, that won't be necessary. It's inconvenient." My heart dropped. Inconvenient? What director has so much power over you? Back at headquarters, you wouldn't even give our own director the time of day. He still didn't turn around. Was he afraid I'd see the look on his face? "Stella, you ask too many questions." Goodbye. Just like that, he was gone. The flowers, the sweets, the intoxicating words, all vanished. The moment he took that call, he reverted to the cold, dismissive man who had abandoned me. It wasn't just my sensitivity. The facts were staring me in the face. I let out a cold laugh. "Ethan, your director's name is Ava, isn't it? No one else could command you like that." Though his back was to me, I saw his body tremble. Was it guilt or excitement? "Humph, you're being paranoid. Think whatever you want, and I've thought about it. I still think we can't keep the baby." Slam, the door shut, and he was gone. He had gone to his technical meeting, summoned by Ava. I fought to control my emotions. A pregnant woman shouldn't get too stressed. It could harm the baby. Perhaps coming here was a mistake. He only cared about the project. His affection for me and our child was all a lie. The autumn wind outside felt colder than usual, though I was bundled up. A chill pierced through me, making me shiver. I walked down the brightly lit, bustling street, but not a single light seemed to shine for me. I waited at the hotel, but Ethan never came back. I called, but it went straight to voicemail. It was like he had vanished again. Did I really need to hold on? But thinking of my baby, I had to try one last time. A child shouldn't be born without a father, no matter what. I had to see him one last time. I needed his final answer. I walked toward the Branch Institute. On the way, I passed a lavish, lively Western-style restaurant. Through the bright glass, I saw a crowd of people wearing the same work uniforms, and at the center of it all were Ethan and Ava. Their colleagues were surrounding them, clapping and chanting. Faintly, I could hear them yelling, "Hug her, hug her, hug her." Ethan, like a shy schoolboy, blushed, but Ava was bold. She threw herself into his arms. My heart ached. It had been so long since Ethan had held me with that kind of passion. Amidst the cheers, I saw a large banner hanging inside the restaurant, celebrating a new technical breakthrough. "Congratulations to Mr. Ethan Hayes and to the promotion of Director Ava Chen." Ava had a new technological breakthrough. How could her skills possibly surpass mine? It didn't seem possible. I wanted to go in. I wanted to ask him to choose, me or her. I just needed one last word from him. One word, and I would be free. I wasn't doing it for me. I was fighting for my baby. Just as I was about to step forward, that sharp, cramping pain shot through my abdomen again. I instinctively curled into a ball, collapsing on the sidewalk like a heap of rags. Unable to move, my vision blurred, my senses faded. Finally, I couldn't hold on any longer. I blacked out. When I opened my eyes again, I was on a hospital gurney. A tall man stood beside me, though I was weak. A flicker of hope ignited. Ethan, Ethan, is that you? You finally came for me. I gripped the man's hand tightly. At the crucial moment, he left Ava for me, but the man's voice plunged my heart into an icy abyss. No, Stella, you've got the wrong person. It's me, Liam. The man by my side was not my husband. Liam, the name was familiar. Back in college, Liam had pursued me, but my heart belonged only to Ethan, so I never gave him a chance. What was he doing here? Suddenly, a doctor's voice broke through my confusion. Ma'am, your situation is critical. You have acute appendicitis, complicated by fetal distress. If we prioritize the baby's health, the mother will be in extreme danger. My mind reeled. Without hesitation, I gathered what little strength I had and pleaded with the doctor. Please, I'm begging you, save my baby. The doctor sighed. I can only do my best. We need a family member to sign the consent forms. We can't perform such a high-risk surgery without it. My parents were far away. Ethan was at Ava's celebration party. I had no family here. Desperate, I clutched at one last sliver of hope and called Ethan. Thankfully, he answered. The background was loud and cheerful. They were having a great time. Hello, Ethan, I'm in trouble. Can you listen to me for a minute? His impatience made my already cold heart sink even lower. Make it quick. I'm in a meeting. I'm busy. A wave of despair washed over me. Ethan, I'm on the operating table. They need your signature for the surgery. The baby's not doing well. Can you please come? I'm begging you, for our child's sake. The noise on his end was chaotic, but I could still hear Ava's voice cut through it all. Ethan, honey, you promised you wouldn't leave during my party. Then, I heard the sound of a kiss. My hand clenched into a fist, my nails digging into my palm until it bled. Don't worry, Ava, I'll never leave you. Ethan's voice was giddy, overjoyed that Ava had kissed him. Then he turned on me. Stella, why are you being so dramatic? I have something very important here. I don't have time for your made-up stories. You're just lying to get me to see you. Ava and I have business to discuss. I'm hanging up. The doctor, standing beside me, couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed the phone. Sir, as a husband, you should at least care about your wife. Do you have any idea how critical her situation is? Please come to the hospital immediately and sign the consent form. Before the doctor could finish, Ethan let out another cold laugh. Stella, you're something else. Did you hire an actor for $50 to make this call? Give it up. I don't want to see you. And if something happens to the baby, then just let it go. I never wanted you to have it in the first place. Click. The dial tone was the sound of my heart shattering. The man I once knew as my loving Ethan was gone forever. Now, he was just a man named Hayes, cavorting with Ava Chen. Liam, whose face had been gentle and concerned, was now contorted with rage after hearing Ethan's heartless words. That bastard. Ethan, then, his voice firm and resolute, he declared, Doctor, I'll sign. If anything happens, I'll take full responsibility. The doctor hesitated. Are you sure? If there's an accident, you could face a lawsuit. Liam's voice was sharp with anger. Just hurry up. If anything happens to Stella, I'll make sure you face a lawsuit right now. Liam was just as decisive as I remembered. I could barely summon the energy to speak. All I could manage was a faint, thank you. Liam was led out by a nurse to sign the papers. The doctors administered a local anesthetic and began the surgery. Normally, an operation this major would require general anesthesia, but for the sake of my baby, I insisted on local. The pain was unbearable. I could feel the scalpel cutting through my body, every slice sending waves of agony through my nerves. I fainted and woke up, over and over again. Hours later, they wheeled me out of the operating room. For the baby's sake, I refused the post-op painkillers. I just clenched my teeth, trying desperately to fall asleep, hoping it would lessen the pain. But for the first time in my life, sleep wouldn't come. I was on N4 drip, and Liam sat by my bed. He started telling me stories from our college days. Gradually, his soft voice lulled me to sleep. A few days later, I had recovered enough to learn from the doctor that it was Liam who had found me unconscious outside the restaurant and rushed me to the hospital. Stella, I called Ethan. Liam said, he should be here soon to see you. My calm heart stirred again. Ethan is coming to see me. He hadn't cared if I lived or died for days. One call from Liam was more effective than all my pleas. I couldn't even get my own husband to answer my calls. I was less than a stranger to him. Liam soon turned out to be 2 hours later. The door to my room finally opened. Oh, Liam, you're here, Ethan said, a mocking tone in his voice. I'm curious, my wife is sick, so why were you the one to bring her to the hospital? I felt a flush of embarrassment. Liam stood up, his eyes flashing with fury. Ethan, I'm even more curious. Your own wife is this sick, so why wasn't her husband the one to bring her to the hospital? Liam's sharp tongue was famous back in college. Ethan was speechless. He turned to me, forcing a smile. Stella, let's go home. I have the car parked outside. He then pulled me into a possessive hug, shooting a contemptuous smirk at Liam. In college, both Ethan and Liam were campus heartthrobs, but Liam always had the upper hand. Better grades, more popular, a wealthier family. The only thing Ethan had ever won was my love. Liam's affection for me was known throughout the school, but I had rejected him, making it clear that I only had eyes for Ethan. Since then, Ethan had used me as a trophy to lord over Liam. Sometimes, I couldn't tell if Ethan was with me because he loved me, or because he just wanted to one-up Liam. It had been so long since I'd felt his embrace. He held me tightly and started walking out. I managed to thank Liam and promised to treat him to a thank-you dinner. Liam smiled sadly. No need for dinner. As long as you and Ethan are happy, I'll be happy. I couldn't see Liam's expression behind me, but I felt Ethan's smug posture. We will be, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. We'll be happy forever. You don't need to worry about us. The moment we were out of the hospital doors, Ethan's affectionate act dropped. He put me down impatiently and deliberately kept his distance. I followed him slowly to his car. He opened the back door and gestured for me to get in. What about the passenger seat? I asked, confused. I had always sat in the passenger seat. I thought it was my special place. I never imagined I'd one day be relegated to the back. Ethan coughed. Just listen to me. Sit in the back. Since he insisted, I complied. Suddenly, from the passenger seat, a head of beautiful, long, black hair turned around. Hello, Stella, she said. Ethan talks about you all the time. I came along specially to check on you. It was Ava. She sounded like the lady of the house, and I was just a minor interruption in her life with Ethan. I kept my composure. Hello to you, too, I replied. I've also heard Ethan tell me stories about you and him. Ava turned back around. Then, in a voice an octave higher, she said, good, as long as you've heard them. Ethan started the car. He focused on driving while Ava occasionally wiped sweat from his brow. Open wide. She'd coo. Good boy. Let Ava feed you something yummy. Ethan was perfectly obedient, chewing on the cake, chocolate, and fruit she fed him. Ava was smug, looking out the window at the passing scenery. You know, she said loudly, some people just love to occupy a nest that isn't theirs. They know they're not loved, but they cling to their stubbornness anyway. Don't you think so, Ethan darling? Ethan cleared his throat, playing his part in their little drama. Ava, whatever you say is the truth to me. Oh, you're the best. Ethan, you're always so good to me. She sighed dramatically. It's just, wrong time, wrong place. We were the right people, but the timing was all wrong. My life is so tragic. Ethan immediately blamed himself. It's all my fault. If I hadn't made you angry back then, you never would have broken up with me, and I never would have accepted Stella's confession. Listening to their soap opera, every word laced with malice towards me, blaming me for defiling their sacred love. The healing wound in my abdomen began to throb again. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I couldn't speak. My heart plunged into an icy abyss. Perhaps I had been naive. I thought he came to get me to build a bridge, to give us a future. Now I knew the truth. He never wanted a chance with me. The only person he had ever truly loved was Ava. On the drive, Ethan focused on the road, occasionally exchanging sweet glances with Ava. The car was filled with the cloying scent of violet perfume. Ava's luxury leather jacket was violet. Her hair clip was a violet. Naturally, the car air freshener was also violet. Yes, this was very Ethan. He was still so devoted, so single-minded, just not to me. I rested a hand on my belly and forced a difficult smile. Baby, I thought, from now on, it's just you and me. You won't have a father anymore, and we don't need one. When they dropped me off at the hotel, they were in a hurry to leave. Ava waved at me with a triumphant smile. Stella, take care of yourself. Ethan and I have an important meeting, so we can't stay. But don't worry, we'll see each other again. I smiled back and waved. Goodbye. I hope your meeting goes well. Have fun. Ethan looked surprised by my calm demeanor. Since playing the victim didn't work, why not face it with dignity? On the way here, I had already drafted the divorce agreement in my head. The beautiful past was over. It was time for me to plan for my future, and my child's. Goodbye, Ethan. The sunny boy I once loved with all my heart. My path lay ahead of me, but it no longer included him. It was a path for me and my child, alone. When I went to check out, I remembered that Ethan would be back for the deposit. I left a note with the front desk. "This is the last time I'll call you my dear Ethan. The baby and I are going home. Let's part ways, once and for all. The divorce papers will be in your hands shortly. I'm gone. I wish you peace and joy." I returned to my city, to my villa, and to the site of the wheat field. The boy in the painting was still the same boy. The girl was still the same girl, but my heart was no longer the same. I never called or texted Ethan again, but I didn't delete his number. I realized it didn't matter anymore. He no longer had the power to stir my emotions. I thought I was free, but I was about to be slapped in the face by reality. I pulled myself together. I had my lawyer draft the divorce papers with my terms, and I threw myself back into my career with renewed focus. It was like I was back in college, full of energy, starting fresh. The next morning, when I arrived at the institute, the director, Mr. Zhang, sternly summoned me to his office. This was unusual. Even though he was the director, he always treated me with respect. Today, his face was a thundercloud. As I entered, he barked, "Stella, I trusted you. I gave you the team. I gave you the core technical data. And what did you do? How could you betray me? Betray this institute? Just confess. Did you take a bribe from our competitor at the branch campus?" I was stunned. "Director Zhang, you know my character. I would never do anything to betray this institute." His anger flared. He slammed his hand on the desk, making the teacups rattle. "But Ava Chen from the branch campus has already submitted our technology to the top governing body. With that technology, she has already secured a promotion. She is now my superior. Forget the massive research grant we lost. All the years of hard work from everyone in this department. It's all gone to waste. If the leak didn't come from you, I can't imagine where else it could have come from." A bolt of lightning shot through my brain. Ethan. It had to be Ethan. He had charmed me, tricked the core technology out of me, and then dutifully presented it to Ava as a gift. I felt faint. Director Zhang, I'm sorry," he sneered. "So you're admitting it." I said nothing. I had no words. I was too ashamed to face the man who had mentored and supported me for years. "Are you going to handle this yourself?" he said in a low, heavy voice. "Or should I?" He was giving me one last chance to salvage a shred of dignity. I had endured Ethan's betrayal, his coldness. I hadn't cried. I had fought for my baby's life on the operating table, nearly dying myself. I hadn't cried. I had faced Ava's taunts and mockery. I hadn't cried. But now, tears streamed down my face. I choked back a sob. "Director, I'll resign. I'm sorry to my colleagues. I'm sorry to you." He didn't say much more. "All right, my child, go to HR and handle the paperwork. For the sake of our history, the official record will state that you retired due to health reasons." I mumbled a thank you, wiped my tears, and gave him a deep bow. Then, with my head down, I walked out the door. A crowd of my colleagues was gathered outside. Their bonuses were gone. Their hard work was for nothing. Some of them were counting on this project to support their families. Others were hoping for a promotion. Now, it was all gone. I couldn't meet their eyes. I felt a burning shame. A young woman who had just transferred to our team whispered, "Stella, you were my idol in this field." An older colleague said kindly, "Stella, take care. Everyone makes mistakes." Another added, "My granddaughter wants me to say hello. She hopes you can come to her birthday party and teach her about science." Their kindness felt like daggers. I couldn't bear it. I ran. I fled the institute. All day, on the road, in the car, back at the villa. I called Ethan's number over and over until my fingers were numb. There was no answer. That night, I sat alone on the floor of my villa, feeling utterly broken. My eyes fell on the wheat field, illuminated by the faint starlight. I lunged at it, tearing the painting I once treasured from the wall. I ripped it to shreds, the pieces scattered on the floor, like my memories with Ethan, broken, utterly shattered, never to be put back together. Hearts change. I just learned it too late. Just then, my phone vibrated. I wiped my tears, hoping it was Ethan. I desperately needed an explanation, but the caller ID showed Liam. My tense heart relaxed. His concerned voice came through the phone. "Stella, I was worried about you. I heard from Director Zhang. I heard you resigned. He said you're not doing well. Did something happen? Is there anything I can do?" The tears I had held back burst forth like a broken dam. I was a drowning person, and he was my only lifeline. I sobbed, telling him everything. I heard a furious sound from his end, followed by the crash of something breaking. "Ethan, How dare that bastard do this to you? Stella, don't worry, I'll help you figure this out. Just please, stop crying. Liam was always resourceful. Less than 5 minutes later, he spoke again. I found it. I have Ava's number. If we can contact her, we can find Ethan. Right. A jolt of clarity shot through me. Yes, find Ava. She's an accomplice. Liam was right. Once I had Ava, finding Ethan would be easy. I got her number from Liam and dialed immediately. I called 6 times before she finally picked up. A lazy, seductive voice answered. Didn't I tell the front desk to stop asking if I want the complimentary meal package? I have money. I don't need anything for free. Understand? I cut to the chase. Ava, I'm looking for Ethan. Don't tell me you don't know where he is. She paused. Oh, look who it is. Little sister Stella. Ethan's sleeping right now. It's not a good time to disturb him. From the background, I heard a sleepy male voice. Ava, who is it? Calling so late. It's just those fools from the front desk. Darling, go back to sleep. I won't let them bother you. I heard the sound of a kiss. You're the best. Ava, I screamed into the phone. Ethan, answer the phone. Stop playing dead. I have something to say to you. Have you no shame for what you did to our colleagues? To Director Zhang, who gave you everything? But all I heard was the sound of a man snoring. Ava's voice came back on the line, laced with triumph. Stella, you heard him. He's asleep. There's nothing I can do. I'm coming to find you right now. I said, tell me which hotel. Don't even think about running. Ava replied, Stella, if you're coming to catch us in the act, don't bother. You've seen it for yourself. Ethan is tired of you. He has only ever loved me. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel. I thought I made that clear in the car. Were you just pretending not to understand? Besides, I've been promoted. My position is above yours now. Remember, I'm technically your superior. Do you really think it's wise to speak to your boss this way? Are you not afraid I'll make your life difficult at work? I couldn't believe her audacity. She was proud of being a homewrecker and was now threatening me professionally. What right do you have to be my boss? I snapped. I should be asking you and Ethan. Don't you feel any guilt for what you stole? Ava seemed a little flustered. She knew exactly what I meant by stole. Fine, she said. Come over, Ethan, and I will see you. Some things are better said in person. Like, for example, discussing your divorce from Ethan. She practically shouted the word divorce, as if afraid I wouldn't get the hint, even if you hadn't mentioned it. Ava, I was going to hand the divorce papers to Ethan myself. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. The trains aren't running this late. Do you need a taxi? I can pay for it. Ava was beautiful. Her voice was soft, but every word was a poison dart. No, thank you, I said, and don't celebrate too soon. Ava, don't forget, your official appointment letter hasn't been issued yet. You should probably add the word acting before your new title. There was a moment of silence on her end. It seemed she sensed the danger. She didn't change the meeting place. After hanging up, she immediately sent me her location. It was Liam who drove me. He pulled up outside the hotel. Stella, I'll wait here. Be careful. Call me if you need anything. He had already done so much for me. What more could I say but thank you? Really, he cut me off. If you really want to thank me, treat me to a meal after this is all over. Now go. Take care of business. I straightened my clothes and walked into the hotel. Ethan and Ava were already waiting. When Ethan saw me, he froze. In his mind, I was always confident, vibrant, and positive. This was the first time he had ever seen me look so broken and haggard. He seemed to think of something and lowered his head, a flicker of shame in his eyes. I sat down opposite them. Before Ava could speak, I slapped the divorce papers on the table. Take a look. The terms are fair. Ethan is Ethan, and Stella is Stella. Our finances are divided cleanly and clearly. All that's missing is Mr. Hayes' signature. Mr. Hayes. It was the first time I had ever called him that. I saw his hand tighten around his water glass, turning white at the knuckles. He tried to keep his face neutral, but his unease was obvious. He didn't reach for the papers. Mr. Hayes, I prompted, even if you don't want to read the agreement, you still need to sign it, don't you? I offered him the pen I had brought. Then, I added, my voice heavy with meaning, and after you sign, I'd like to ask you about the core technology issue. I hope you can give me a reasonable explanation, because this involves legal liability. Ethan's eyes were vacant. He nodded, then quickly shook his head. This was not the decisive, confident man I had fallen for in college. Had life worn him down, or had being with Ava turned him into a mindless drone? He didn't look at the papers. He didn't take the pen. Instead, his face filled with concern and guilt. Stella, you can have it all. I don't want anything. You and the baby will need the financial security. Ava coughed, looking uncomfortable. I gave a bitter smile. Thank you, Mr. Hayes, but please remember, from now on, do not call me Stella. We are not that close. This is your only warning. His face turned a shade paler. Now, can you explain the technology issue? I took out my phone and started a recording. Choose your words carefully. Don't think you can avoid this. That technology has many key components. It's not as simple as just submitting the data. Only I understand the critical points. Sweat beaded on their foreheads. They weren't as dedicated or hardworking as I was. They understood the surface, but not the substance. Ava spoke up. Stella, can we talk about this later? Please put your phone away. With our history, surely there's no problem we can't solve. I knew I couldn't solve everything in one meeting. I put my phone away. I'll give you 2 days. Either you confess to the higher UPS yourselves, or I file a formal complaint with the governing body. We'll settle this officially. Then everything will be crystal clear. Mr. Hayes, I'm only doing this out of respect for our past. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have 2 days. Their breathing grew heavy, their faces filled with panic. They had been so busy with their romance. They never considered the consequences. They thought stealing the technology was the final move. They didn't realize that in the right hands, knowledge is power. My phone rang. It was Liam. Stella, do you need me to come up? You've been in there for 20 minutes. I was worried. I smiled. Liam's concern was the only ray of light in my darkness. It's okay. I'm done. I'm coming down now. I stood up, took the signed divorce agreement, and left them with a final warning. You'd better think carefully. Walking out of the hotel, the gloom in my heart lifted. In 2 days, the truth would be revealed. I would get my job back. Everything that was mine would return to me. As for my marriage, it ended the moment Ethan signed his name. Liam was still waiting. The haggard look was gone from my face as I walked towards him. I won't say thank you again, I said. My treat. You picked the place. I remember you loved barbecue in college. Want to go? Liam's face lit up with a huge grin. Let's go. I can't believe you remembered. Because of the pregnancy, I stuck to soda, but Liam ate and drank with gusto. We talked about the past, about the future. Stella, now that you're not at the institute, what are your plans? I shrugged. I hadn't given up yet. If I could clear my name, I had a good chance of getting my position back, one step at a time. What about you, Liam? You never told me what you do for work now. He smiled, scratching his head bashfully. Well, after graduation, I didn't go into the corporate world. I drive a taxi now, just enough to get by. I was stunned. In college, Liam's talent was undeniable. The world's top companies were fighting over him. I couldn't believe he'd chosen this path. But everyone has their own journey. I smiled. Sounds a lot more relaxing than my life. Liam looked a bit nervous. Then, as if he'd made a decision, he said, a little emboldened by the beer, if you had a chance to choose again, would you consider giving me a chance to be with you? I froze. I had just escaped the shadow of divorce. I was pregnant. My career was in chaos. I didn't have an answer. I would love you. And I would love your baby. Please don't worry about that. Seeing my silence, he quickly backpedaled with a laugh, realizing his timing was terrible. He had seen me at my most vulnerable and had an overwhelming urge to protect me. And the words just came out. Just kidding. Don't take it seriously. We're old classmates, right? No hard feelings. I smiled. Of course not. Don't be a stranger, Liam. I felt a sense of relief as he wiped a bead of sweat from his brow. He called a designated driver to take me home. I returned to the villa and saw the mess on the floor, the shredded pieces of the wheat field. My heart was calm. Since seeing Ethan's true colors, nothing related to him mattered anymore. I packed my belongings, ready to say goodbye to this place for good. I had given them 2 days. If they didn't confess, I would prepare the documents and start the legal proceedings. I checked into a hotel near my home. I had just taken a shower and was ready for a good night's sleep when my phone rang. It was Ethan. A small smile played on my lips, the one time I had forgotten about him. He called. I answered but said nothing. Stella, can we talk, Mr. Hayes? I replied. You seem to have forgotten. We are not that close. You can call me Ms. Jeong. Thank you. A sigh came through the phone. All right. Can I see you? If it's about confessing to stealing the technology, I can consider it. After all these years, after being married for so long, can't you just let it go, Mr. Hayes? You're thinking too much. I only want one outcome. Anything else is a waste of breath. After 3 seconds of silence, I sneered and hung up. A knock came at the door. This hotel had a habit of delivering late night snacks. I didn't think much of it and opened the door. Standing in the hallway, illuminated by the corridor lights, was Ethan. He was holding a bouquet of flowers, a forced smile on his face. "Happy birthday, Stems, Jiang. I timed it perfectly to wish you a happy birthday." I glanced at the clock. It was 12:01 a.m., the very first minute of my birthday. I had been through so much, I'd completely forgotten. Without my permission, he strode into my room. I instinctively clutched my robe tighter and turned on all the lights. He offered me the flowers. When I didn't take them, he placed them on the table. Then he set a large cake box on the coffee table. "Happy birthday, Ms. Jiang. Look, I had it specially made for you." The wheat field cake. The wheat field. He still remembered. He must have rushed here to make peace before going back to our old home and seeing what I'd done. The cake box was transparent. I could see that it was indeed a replica of the painting we once cherished. But there was something strange. In the middle of the wheat field was a single violet. That was Ava's signature flower. It was so conspicuous. Clearly, Ava had helped him order this cake. She was trying to feign surrender while still asserting her dominance, leaving a little violet to spite me, but I didn't care anymore. I just shook my head with a sad smile. Ethan thought I was moved. He took out another box. "Stella, Ms. Jiang, I always get you a gift on your birthday. This year is no exception. Here, a little something." He opened the box and presented me with a ring. The quality was good, the craftsmanship exquisite, but it was entirely blue. Black. Also Ava's signature color. How deep was his love for Ava? It had seeped into his very bones. He couldn't even remember what I liked. It had happened before, but I'd always brushed it off, thinking he was just busy with work. Now, none of it mattered. All I wanted was my baby. "Mr. Hayes, thank you for your kind intentions. I appreciate the thought. Now, take your flowers, your cake, and your ring, and please leave." I opened the door wide in a clear gesture of dismissal. He was shocked by my coldness, so different from the adoring woman I used to be. "So, about that other thing." I knew what he meant. "If you say one more word," I said sternly, "I won't even give you 2 days." Fear filled his eyes. He and Ava knew enough about the technology to know that the most critical parts were things only a top-tier expert like me could grasp. Not even Director Zhang understood it all. They had every reason to be afraid. "Okay, just give me a little more time. The time I can give you, Mr. Hayes, is very little. Don't miss your chance." He lowered his head, picked up his cake and flowers, and left my room. After he was gone, I lay in bed, tossing and turning. I couldn't sleep. Suddenly, the image of Liam's confession popped into my head, and a strange thought occurred to me. Would he remember my birthday? In college, he had prepared a gift for me every year, to avoid making Ethan jealous. I always refused, but this time, I felt a flicker of anticipation. I picked up my phone and, on a whim, looked up Liam's social media. After I got together with Ethan, I had rarely paid him any mind. Ethan was possessive and had warned me to stay away from Liam, to avoid misunderstandings. I kept my distance, but now, memories of Liam flooded back. He must not have had much experience with girls, because his attempts to woo me were always clumsy, staging accidental encounters. I remembered a time when some girls in my class were bullying me because of my looks. It was Liam who noticed, who got hurt himself while warning them off, and put a stop to it. He was a good person back then. I just didn't have eyes for him. When I opened his profile, I was stunned. It was filled with pictures of me. From his very first post, it was a chronicle of my life. A photo of me studying in the library, a shot of me winning a campus competition. There was even a picture of me secretly napping at my desk during a lecture. His entire feed was a testament to my youth. It was as if his social media existed only for me. Tears welled in my eyes. When had Ethan ever treated me with such care? He rarely mentioned me on his social media. He didn't even announce our wedding. His excuse at the time was that he didn't like to make a big deal of things, that our love was private. I was foolish enough to believe him. Now I realized he was probably afraid of upsetting Ava, of closing the door to a reunion. I lay in bed from midnight until dawn, unable to sleep. I was excited, yet inexplicably anxious, bored. I scrolled through my phone again. Ava had posted something new, a picture of flowers, a ring, and a birthday cake. The caption read, "A proud princess gets what she deserves." The items were all more expensive, more luxurious than what Ethan had brought me. It was clear what had happened. After failing to win me over, he had rushed back to appease Ava. She was posting this to declare her victory, to declare war on me. But I no longer wanted to be part of this pathetic love triangle. Ava could gloat all she wanted. I used to be so envious of her. When she was with Ethan, She had all his love, his attention, his gifts. I could only watch from the shadows, like a rat that couldn't bear the light. I had seen them kiss, seen them embrace, and each time, I had tortured myself with tears. When she was gone, I finally had my chance. I supported Ethan when he was vulnerable, defended his pride when others doubted him. I gave him all my love. I thought we would grow old together. I never imagined that deep down, he was still in love with her. The moment she returned, a single call from her was enough to make him lose his mind and betray me and our child. In the end, I learned a valuable lesson from this storm. Loving someone who doesn't love you back is a tragedy. Ava posted a few more pictures: blue skies, white clouds, an airplane, a theme park, plane tickets, the caption, "To Paris with the man I love, to Disneyland, to see the northern lights, to travel the world, a beautiful dream that will become our most beautiful memory." The tickets were for a flight to the US, with a layover in Paris, Disneyland and the Eiffel Tower. I had planned to give them 2 days to think. Now, I saw there was no need. She was so confident that my love for Ethan was so deep that I would never dare to bring them down. My kindness, in her eyes, was weakness. My silence was an invitation to be bullied. So be it. I wouldn't even give them the chance to confess. A public confrontation, a technical takedown. It was inevitable. I forced myself to sleep for the sake of the baby. When I woke up, I decided to take a walk. Our old university was in this city. I decided to walk there, for old time's sake. The streets were quiet, leaves falling all around. The feeling of heartbreak was fading, replaced by a sense of indifference. Ethan and Ava no longer had the power to hurt me. I reached the campus. It was as clean and beautiful as ever, but filled with new faces. I saw a few familiar professors, but most were strangers. I wandered through the old haunts, the tree-lined paths, the classrooms, the library. In every corner, I was reminded of Liam, relentlessly asking me if I liked him. He must have asked me dozens of times. I had rejected him dozens of times. As I was walking, a familiar voice called out from behind me, "Stella, is that you?" I spun around. It was Liam. "Liam, you're here too. Of course, you're not the only one who gets nostalgic for our alma mater." Suddenly, it felt like fate, as if the universe had arranged for us to meet here. "I guessed you might come today," he admitted, "so I came too. I wanted to see you, Stella." Just like in the old days, my heart skipped a beat. I couldn't meet his eyes. Just then, a group of students ran over. "Excuse me, are you Liam?" one of them asked excitedly. "The legendary tech genius, the one who topped the science charts." Another gasped, "It must be him. I've seen his picture. He's so handsome. He was a campus legend. He's even better looking in person." I was surprised. I had no idea Liam's legacy at the school was so immense. Liam smiled and greeted them. Someone even asked for his autograph. A crowd started to form. One of the students asked cheekily, "Liam, is this your girlfriend? She's beautiful." I was about to deny it when Liam smiled at the student. "Not yet," he said smoothly, "but I'm working on it, so don't you guys scare her away." The crowd erupted. "Get together, get together." My face turned bright red. Liam, seeing my discomfort, quickly said his goodbyes to the students. "Sorry about that," he said, looking a little embarrassed. "I didn't think anyone would recognize me." I shook my head. "I just never knew you were so popular." He looked at me, a new resolve in his eyes. "Stella, I want to take you somewhere." He led me to a restricted area in the science park. I was terrified. I remembered seeing signs warning students to stay away from this place. An experimental zone rented by a special researcher. I couldn't believe he was taking me here. "Happy birthday, Stella," he said, pointing to a door with a keypad. "There's a little surprise for you inside. The password is your birthday." My mind reeled. The special researcher the university had hired. It was Liam. He was that brilliant, even as a freshman, and he remembered my birthday. With trembling hands, I entered the code. The heavy door swung open. Before me was a garden of 7 colored roses. I had never seen anything like them. "It's a new species I developed," he said softly. "They're unique, just for you. I know you love roses, Stella, so I made this garden for you." I had almost forgotten what my favorite flower was, but Liam never did. Today was truly an unforgettable birthday. I stepped into the sea of flowers, the owner of this impossible garden. It was breathtaking. Liam took pictures of me, explaining the cultivation process, telling me everything I loved to hear. I could see the deep affection in his eyes, the way they sparkled when he looked at me. We talked for a long time. When I started to feel tired, he offered to take me back to the hotel. The air between us was thick with unspoken feelings. pink bubbles of hope floating all around. He had definitely captured my heart. As we said our goodbyes near the hotel, my phone rang. It was Ethan. "Hello, Stella, Mr. Hayes," I said, my voice flat. "Please don't bother me again unless it's an emergency." His voice was tinged with frustration. "Stella, why are you being so cold? It hurts me when you act like this. After all, we were together for so many years." I laughed coldly. "Mr. Hayes, there is only one topic of conversation we can have. You know what it is." He sighed. "Can I come up to your room to talk?" "No," I said. "You and Ava have lost your chance. We're going to court." I could hear the tremor in his voice. He had every reason to be scared. "Please," he begged, "let me call you Stella one more time. My love for you was real. I swear on my life." "Mr. Hayes," I said, "your life doesn't seem to be worth very much. I'm just trying to warn you," he said, his tone urgent. "Ava is playing hardball. She's brought in her old professor. Her technical knowledge is on par with yours now. You can't win. She promised me that if you back down, she'll let you keep a full-time, fully paid position as your new boss. It's a very generous offer." I snorted. "In her dreams. After I get back, I'm having Director Zhang file the official complaint." "All right," he said, defeated. "I knew I couldn't convince you, but I had to try. Our marriage may be over, but we still share a child. I can't just watch you get hurt. Stella, I want you to remember, I will always be here for you. My arms will always be open." Yes, I was sure they would be. When Ava wasn't around, he was obsessed with her. Now that I was the woman he couldn't have, his emotional pendulum was swinging back to me. I hung up, wanting nothing more to do with him. When I got back to my hotel room, there was a knock on the door. Through the peephole, I saw it was Ethan. He was persistent. I ignored him, but he just kept knocking. Annoyed, I finally opened the door. "Mr. Hayes, please have some boundaries. We are strangers now. Do not disturb my life." Before I could close the door, he lunged forward and pulled me into a tight hug. I once yearned for his embrace. Now, it filled me with disgust. "Get off me. Let go of me, you bastard." I pushed with all my might, but the harder I struggled, the tighter he held me. "Stella, I love you," he whispered desperately. "Let's get back together. I'll be good to you and the baby. I know now that I can't live without you." Choosing Ava was a mistake. I gritted my teeth. Men, did he think I was some cheap commodity he could buy and sell at will? Just then, a voice called from the doorway. "Stella, I bought you a cake and a gift." A tall figure appeared in the room. It was Liam. He was holding a cake box and a gift bag. He walked in, then froze. Seeing me in Ethan's arms, anyone would misunderstand. Liam's face turned ashen. His voice was heavy, like a death knell. "I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. You too, continue." The cake and gift fell to the floor. He didn't even bother to pick them up. He turned and fled. He thought Ethan and I had reconciled. He misunderstood. I shoved Ethan away with all my strength and ran after him. Liam, wait. It's not what you think. You misunderstood." But all I saw was his retreating back as he disappeared down the hall. I returned to the room, furious. Ethan had the nerve to say, "What's he doing here? Trying to play the hero. You're my woman." My hand shot out, my finger pointing straight at his face. "Get out. I get sick just looking at you. You and Ava can wait to rot in jail together." He still wouldn't give up. "Stella, get out. Now, get out of my room." Seeing my fury, he finally backed down, hastily leaving my room. Liam was gone. I tried calling him. His phone was off. Just like that, he had vanished. I had a sinking feeling that I would never be able to contact him again. The misunderstanding was too great. Powerless, I sank onto the sofa. I kept calling his number, but it was off every time. Night fell. My birthday was almost over. At first, I hoped he would come back, that he would listen to my explanation. But hope turned to despair. It made me think of all the times I had rejected him in college. How devastated he must have felt. The pain I caused him then was far greater than what I was feeling now. My heart ached. The one man who truly loved me, and I had hurt him again. I didn't want to lose him. My confession to Ethan had been a mistake, but going after Liam, that would be a decision I would never regret. I had to find him. After a day of searching, I found out from a taxi company that he had been working there but had quit. The finance lady said he donated all his salary to charity. His colleagues said he was aloof, that he carried himself with an air of nobility that kept everyone at a distance. He was a mystery. The next day was the hearing. This had to be settled. On the way back to the hotel, I saw a group of students taking photos. It reminded me of how I used to beg Liam to be my photographer. Also, I could post pictures for Ethan to see. Liam had once asked if he could use my photo as his phone's wallpaper. I refused, telling him to save it for his future girlfriend. I had pushed him away time and time again, and he had never once complained. I had wronged him so deeply. A sharp pain in my abdomen brought me back to the present. The baby was moving. I clutched my stomach, forcing myself back to my room. If I collapsed now, Liam wouldn't be there to save me. I crawled into bed, massaging my belly. Baby, please be still. You're hurting mommy. As if he heard me, the baby settled down. The pain subsided. My phone rang. I snatched it up. Liam, is that you? Listen to me. But it was Ethan's voice. I could only laugh bitterly. Stella, give up, he said. Ava has made a lot of progress. She brought in her professor. Her technical knowledge is on par with yours now. You can't win. I snorted. Dream on. I'm filing the complaint tomorrow. I know I can't stop you. He sighed, but I had to call. For old time's sake. For our baby. I can't just watch you fail. Stella, remember, I'll always be behind you. I hung up. The next day, I dressed to kill. This was the day I would clear my name. Director Zhang was waiting for me. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. Stella, you look incredible. This is the most beautiful I've ever seen you. I used to love dressing up, but after I got with Ethan, he told me it was better for women to be plain. I now realized he just didn't want me to outshine Ava. At the hearing hall, hundreds of our colleagues were there. They held up a banner. Stella Jiang, the pride of our institute. Their unwavering faith in me strengthened my resolve. Soon, Ava arrived with her entourage. She smirked at me. Stella, are you feeling better? I was so worried about you. Thank you for your concern, I said coolly, but after today, you should be more worried about yourself. She just smiled, patting her stomach. I'm having a boy, by the way. You should try for a girl, then our families can be joined by marriage. She was openly admitting to cheating on Ethan. She didn't love him either. She had just used him to get to me, to steal my work. Sure, I said, if you're not in prison by then, I'll consider it. Her mask finally cracked. Humph, we'll see who has the last laugh. The hearing began. The judges were all senior experts. It didn't take long for them to see the truth. My answers were more detailed, more insightful. I explained not just what the judges knew, but what they didn't. Within a few rounds, Ava was floundering. The judges were nodding at me, praising my expertise. As they deliberated, I leaned over to Ava. Sorry, but it looks like our children won't be in laws. In fact, you and your useless boy toy will probably be eating prison food. Ethan was about to protest when Ava cut him off. Don't be so sure, sister, she whispered, a smug look on her face. The connections I've built over the years weren't for nothing. Just as the judges were about to announce their verdict, a middle-aged man in gold-rimmed glasses stood up. He stood in front of Ava. Esteemed judges, the core of Ava's technology was provided by me. If you doubt it, I will be happy to debate Ms. Jiang myself. The room erupted. Most of the attendees stood up in respect. Director Zhang's face went pale. Stella, we're finished. That's Professor Lu Qingji, one of the 3 great masters in our field. With him backing her, we're doomed. I had heard of him. I had even wanted to study under him once. I knew he was brilliant, but I wouldn't give up. The debate continued, this time between me and the master. I fought with everything I had, but for every theory I presented, he presented a better one. My centrifuge technology was flawless, but his was a generation ahead. The verdict was a foregone conclusion. My complaint was dismissed. I would be blacklisted. Director Zhang would be disgraced. Our institute would be branded as untrustworthy. We had all lost. Director Zhang patted my shoulder. It's over, child. Let's go. He had trusted me, and I had ruined him. Ava sidled up to me and whispered in my ear, silly girl, you can't beat me. Your man loves me. Your work is mine. And you are nothing but a pathetic loser. That was the last straw. The stress, the exhaustion, the crushing defeat. It was too much. A spasm racked my body. The baby, a sharp, violent movement. My vision swam. I collapsed. I woke up in a pristine white hospital room. I didn't know how much time had passed. A tall man stood by my bed. Fuzzily, I reached for his hand. Liam, is that you? A voice answered. Stella, it's me. You're finally awake. My heart froze. It was Ethan. Suddenly, I felt an emptiness in my belly. The baby, my baby, the baby's gone. Ethan's voice was thick with tears. Stella, you were overworked. Your body was too weak. We couldn't save the baby. I wailed. My poor child, gone before ever seeing the light of day. I was a terrible mother. I had failed my baby. Ethan fell to his knees beside my bed. Stella, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you, to our baby. Let's have another child. I'll protect you for the rest of my life. I'll never let you get hurt again. I started laughing, a hollow, crazed sound. Then, I looked at him, my eyes cold as ice, and said one word, get out. But he didn't leave. He just knelt there, day and night, begging for my forgiveness. My professional reputation, though tarnished at home, was still strong internationally. The French Institute's offer was still on the table. I accepted. After recovering, I prepared to leave for France. Professor Liu, Ava, I would be back for them, I had to admit. Despite his despicable character, Liu's technical skills were world-class. The only person who could challenge him was a man named Peter Ching, a Chinese-American genius. I was going to France to learn from him. The day I left for the airport, it was snowing again. Ethan begged to come with me, promising to be my servant. I gave him the same one-word answer. On the plane, I felt a nervous anticipation. When I landed, the director of the French Institute and his top team were there to greet me personally. I want to meet Peter Ching as soon as possible, I told them. I'm eager to get to work. The director laughed. If only everyone had your work ethic. All right, I'll take you to meet our top gun myself. He drove me out of the city to a grand estate. This Peter Ching, I thought, was a man of taste. You'll have to go in alone, Stella, the director said. Peter doesn't like to be disturbed. He values his privacy. A butler led me through the massive estate to the main villa. He showed me to the study. Ma'am, he is in here, reading. I gently opened the door. I saw a tall figure in a black suit, his back to me. Who was this French gentleman? Slowly, he turned around. A familiar face. Stella, I gasped, covering my mouth. It couldn't be. Peter Ching was Liam. I didn't think. I ran and threw myself into his arms. Liam, don't leave me again. Let me explain. That day, he silenced me with a kiss. A firework display erupted in my mind, and all the pain and sorrow vanished. Stella, he said when we finally broke apart, I know everything. From now on, let me protect you. I nodded furiously. Later, curled up on a large sofa in his arms, I asked, Liam, why were you driving a taxi? I was developing a new energy-saving converter, he explained. An upgraded version of your centrifuge, but for vehicles. It can save over 20% on fuel. I had to test it personally. And I wanted to come back to find you. The project was a success, he said, a mischievous glint in his eye. And I finally found you. I had to rush back to France to report my findings. And I wanted to see how you'd react after I left. So you put me through this elaborate test. I pouted, pretending to be angry. You tortured me. His response was another kiss. In France, my skills grew exponentially. I was now confident I could take on Professor Liu. Liam proposed, and we got engaged. We planned to travel the world after settling things back home, just as we had dreamed of in college. One day, an invitation arrived from our home country. They needed Liam's converter technology. His patriotism, like mine, had never wavered. We refused all foreign offers and boarded a flight home. At the airport, the official welcoming committee was led by none other than Professor Liu. His deputy was Ava, and trailing behind her was her pathetic lapdog, Ethan. I held my head high, my arm linked with my husband's, and walked past them. Liu rushed after us. Mr. Ching, have you considered letting our system handle the production of your converter? Ava chimed in. Yes, and Stella and I are such good friends. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came out. Liam stopped and turned. I, Liam Ching, have come back to serve my country. Why would I give my project to a bunch of thieves? Professor Liu, you have some nerve. I haven't even settled the score for what you did to my Stella, and you have the audacity to speak to me. Get lost. We got in our car and left them standing there. A few days later, Liam let it be known that if the country wanted his technology, it was very simple. Those three had to face justice. If the system couldn't even hold its own accountable, who would dare to partner with them? The entire scientific community was in an uproar. Liu and Ava were ostracized. Ethan, unable to handle the pressure, was the first to confess. His remorse seemed genuine, and he received a lighter sentence of 3 years. Liu and Ava were unrepentant. They were sentenced to 10 years each. Director Zhang and my colleagues were exonerated. Liam gave our institute the converter project. Everyone received a huge bonus, and Director Zhang was promoted. The snow was falling again. I went to the prison to visit Ava. She was still defiant. You can't break me, Stella, she sneered from behind the glass. I'm pregnant. I can serve my sentence outside of prison. I'm still a free woman. You'll never be as clever as me, she laughed. A confident, carefree sound. I smiled back faintly. What if you had an unfortunate accident and lost the baby? Wouldn't you have to stay in here then? Her face paled. What are you saying, Stella? What do you mean? I didn't answer. I just turned, waved, and said sweetly, you reap what you sow. My baby won't die for nothing. The next day, news came from the prison. Ava had been accidentally injured by another inmate. The baby was lost. A few days later, I heard she had gone half mad, driven to the brink of suicide by the loss of her child. Let her suffer. 10 years would be a long time. I didn't visit Ethan, but he sent a letter. Please let me call you Stella one last time. I am so sorry for what I did. Perhaps being in here is a kind of peace. I am paying for my mistakes. Liam is a good man. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness. Words are not enough, so I will pray for you from here. It was the most sincere he had ever been. I showed the letter to Liam, afraid he might misunderstand. He read it and laughed. He's finally grown up a little, but my wife doesn't need his blessing. He then tore the letter to pieces. I had to smile. He called Ethan immature, but he was the one being petty and jealous. My husband was finally learning to be jealous, and I loved him for it.